What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Birds Deep. I guess Godfrey missed my pregame memo about doing the intros, brother. I'm kidding. We're back.
Me off.
New music. New music was solid, was it not?
No, it wasn't not solid. It's just, you just hear cues in your head. But new home, same show, new guests. I'm the Godfrey. You got Gene, and we got our man Cool McCain, who's also got an Eagles podcast. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong here, Cole, Eagles Elite.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. So when can they catch that? Tell them about that real quick.
So you can catch us on Wednesday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We're all interactive. Just talking the best team in the NFL, period.
I like it. So you got me, the Godfrey, and you got my man, a little bit of steam, not as behind it as usual, but we got me and Gene over here. Tell them who you are, Gene.
Whoa! Gene, I already got listen, I'm fired up. It's Eagles talk. I've missed this show more than you can imagine, Godfrey. We took some time off because we have a new home with Sports Empire Network. We have a third guest. It's not a guest. He's a third host on the show. It's the man, Cool McCain from Sports Empire Network. He's an admin there. He runs Eagles Elite. We got the Godfrey, THEE, GODFREY. And I'm Mean Gene, and I'm ready to talk Eagles football. The introductions are fun, but we got the best team in the NFL going into the 2023 season to talk about. So, Godfrey, why don't you do me a favor and get me in? I'm ready to go. Start me. Where are we going?
I mean, a lot of people hate my take on training camp, but I do. I love that football is back, and I love the Eagles are back. That means it's right around the corner. But training camp doesn't really tickle me that much. I'm not going to lie. It's underwear Olympics to me a lot these days. It ain't like it used to be. And I'm not saying that the guys got to kill themselves. I'm just saying, it was hot today, and they were eating ice cream in the NovaCare complex. I heard there were some battles. You can't see the practice. So I'm hyped that football season's coming up, but it's not like Lehigh Valley days. All right. Like back in the day, people were clogging up the highway because no one travels up there except for, to see Eagles training camp. Now there ain't people going there at all, except if you live there. Sorry, my Lehigh Valley listeners, it's true. And with that being said, I mean, I'm hyped about it. It's just, listen, man, I call free agency and preseason is like the season of lies. So I think we got to kind of, dive through it and dissect what may be true and what may be fodder and what may be the talking heads trying to get some content out there because there's nothing to talk about. I wanted to kill myself today listening to local sports radio talking about Trey Turner over and over again, and Eagles training camp is opening up. I thought I'd get some Eagles training camp while driving around in my car doing my job. I heard Trey Turner talk like crazy. I'm like, there's still like 80 games left. Can we not? Like, it's Eagles. And it's I don't know, man. They should be producers should be fired.
Can I give a real good shout out to Key Williams? Key with the cool background graphic, the logo. We had to get the new original Birds Deep logo. Really loving it, Key. Appreciate the work that you do. If you ever see something on Sports Empire Network behind the scenes, as far as background graphics or logos, and you like it, it's probably Key. It's Key. It's that KEY. I can't say it's me because it's not me. It's Key. But I want to give her a shout out real quick.
Absolutely.
But Godfrey, listen, last year, cool. I'm not sure how much Birds Deep you caught last year, but last year we used to do 3 grades. We used to give the grade for the offense that was on Nick Sirianni. The grade for the defense was on Jonathan Gannon, and the grade for the quarterback that was Jalen Hurts. We got a lot of A's for Jalen Hurts last year. Nick Sirianni did a good job, and Jonathan Gannon did a great job when we played against poor quarterbacks. This year, we got a new group. Brian Johnson, Sean Desai, and Jalen Hurts. Because Sirianni's the overall grade, but I'm not giving him grade of the offense anymore. It's full play callings to Brian Johnson, just like it was to Shane Steichen last year. We're gonna do our same grades, our same grade system. But what I really want to get into is the differences in coordinators with Brian Johnson and Sean Desai I want to start with that. Cool. Let me ask you a question. Are you more excited for Brian Johnson? Are you more excited for Sean Desai? Or do you think it doesn't really matter?
I'm more excited for Sean Desai. I hated Jonathan Gannon as a defensive coordinator. I was tired of playing 5 yards off. I was tired of every halftime coming out and playing the same thing, whether it worked or not, in the second half. No adjustments. This guy pissed me off. Okay. I was with Howie. When Howie was like, you stay in Arizona and interview for the job, I was like, thank you, Howie. Do not let him back on the plane. If he gets back on the plane, we need his club sticks and throw him off. He had to go. I know that was Sirianni's buddy, and that's why he was able to stay as long as he did. But Jonathan Gannon had to go. I feel like personally, and we talked about it all offseason, the offense played really well for the most part last year. The defense, a lot of problems with Jonathan Gannon's play calling. I think they played as well as they did despite some of his incompetence as a play caller. So I'm happy to see him moving out of the way and letting Sean Desai get in. I'm understanding he's going to have some of the same principles, which I'm fine with, because at the end of the day, that means there's less of a learning curve for the guys who've been there. The biggest difference I hope he has is the ability to adapt. What that means, if Jonathan Gannon ever sees this, is when you see an offense doing something, Jonathan Gannon, I'm going to make this coaching for dummies for you real quick. What you do is you say, hey, they're figuring out what we're doing, so we're going to do something different. I've got a whole half of film, and I've got people that can help me go through and figure out what they're doing to what the plays we're doing and do something different. So Sean Desai, please, I played the baby Jesus. Please, just be better than that. If you can just be a competent adjustment guy and do a lot of the same things, we'll be fine. The adjustments killed us in big games last year, period.
So I'm going to echo what you said. I'm going to talk about Brian Johnson in a minute. I'm not excited for Brian Johnson. I'm going to tell you why in a minute. Nothing bad about Brian Johnson, but let me get into Sean Desai first. Sean Desai made his beans. If you don't know who Sean Desai is, he was a linebackers coach back in 2013, got promoted to defensive assistant, then defensive coordinator on the Chicago Bears. He was on John Fox's staff, Matt Nagy's staff. And then when Eberflus got hired, he went over to Seattle and coached that defense last year. Now, the thing I liked most about Sean Desai on the Seattle end of it, he was a defensive coordinator assistant. He wasn't the DC. But the development that happened in the secondary, Tariq Woolen, he looked great last year. Sean Desai has taken bad groceries and turned them into a good meal multiple times. So which is it, right? Is it they're really bad groceries and we're turning it into a good meal? Because now you're walking into prime cut beef. You're walking into the best groceries you can walk into. You got 4-3 guys coming around the outside. You got Jalen Carter, Hassan Reddick, Nolan Smith, Jordan Davis, Darius Slay, James Bradbury. Is it the groceries or is it the cook? So Sean Desai is going to have to cook on that defensive end. And the thing that makes me most excited is the spot the Philadelphia Eagles, in most people's eyes, are weakest is the linebacking core. And Sean Desai being a linebacking coach with one of my favorite players on the Eagles defense, a guy I think is poised for a breakout year, Nakobe Dean. I'm very, very excited to see what a Sean Desai defense looks like. Godfrey, are you going to be different? Are you looking forward to Brian Johnson?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the unknown. I mean, he has a long history with Jalen Hurts.
He does.
There's continuity there. I can't say that before last year I was like, bring me Shane Steichen. He will take us to the Super Bowl. I challenged most Eagles fans that said that. In fact, when they hired Nick Sirianni, everybody was like, what the fuck? Let's be real. Sorry. All right. So, I mean, the thing is as fans, I point to a lot of times when there's a coach we want, and I get pointed at times when we got the sexy coach at the time was Chip Kelly. How did that turn out? We want all of us wanted him. Let's not lie. Most people wanted Chip Kelly. Maybe not all. All right. Not you, but I would say a majority of people did. And when Andy Reid got hired, everybody wanted Brian Billick. Right. And look how that worked out. I mean, everybody's like, Andy, who? And you can check my Facebook post. I said I got faith in the Laurie in the Laurie organization picking a decent head coach. They have a good track record of doing that, and I cited Andy Reid. Now, the thing that I want to key on though that you're talking about is Sean Desai. I think the over under for Eagles fans hating him is about 5 games because we haven't been happy with the defensive coordinator since the late great Jim Johnson was on the sidelines. Let's be honest. Since then, Jim Schwartz, you want to see, but then we're happy with Jim Schwartz. No one was happy with the last guy, and I'm not a defender of Gannon. I despise that man, but I don't know if Desai is going to be this warmly loved guy because I just feel like we all have this recency bias, and we're like, the quarterback's got to be blitzed multiple times. Like, so everybody's like, just rush the passer, I just think that in today's NFL, the defenses are, for a vast majority, bend don't break. They're designed for your offense to be up by a lot and then force you to have to play offense a certain way and be not 3-dimensional against your defense, and you get turnovers. That's what I think how a lot of defensive coordinators try to plan these days that have a high-powered offense. I mean, the Chiefs do it. Eagles do it. A lot of teams do that. Now, we'll see if that works out. I just hope, Sean Desai could at least not let us get torched by Andy Dalton and Derek Carr for 80+% efficiency rates or completion percentages.
Godfrey, my question would be for that when we're talking about Desai and we're talking about Brian Johnson is, do you know where Sean Desai is going to get a lot of love? A lot of people don't know this. Me being a Philadelphia guy, I learned this maybe about 4 months ago. I don't know if anybody knows this. Do you remember the golden years in Temple football? Al Golden?
I do remember Al Golden, and he ended up going to Miami, right?
Yep. So the golden years,
stunk in Miami.
He did, but he was great at Temple. And one of the reasons he was great is he had a very good defense, and his defensive coordinator. And this is actually Sean Desai's first big coaching was Sean Desai for 2006 to 2010. That's what sprung him into getting a job at the next level. So he followed Al Golden over to the U, joined them for 1 year, then went to Boston College as a special teams coordinator before he joined the Bears in 2013. So Sean Desai has been around the block, and I really like what he's done. He's got a very hard-nosed defense. They're tough. They play physical. They go after the ball. They hit hard. That's what Sean Desai defenses are known for. He's of the Vic Fangio tree. That's what a lot of people compare him to, attacking style defense. So I'm excited about Sean Desai. Now, if I want to talk about Brian Johnson for a minute, I don't like that our offensive coordinator and our quarterback are married. I don't like that. I feel like that you almost want a competitive spirit inside the locker room of a coordinator, a quarterback coach, and a quarterback should be married. That's what Brian Johnson was great at. I don't want an offense coordinator that's always playing to our quarterback strengths. I want an offense coordinator that's always playing to our offensive strengths. And that's important to me. That's the biggest thing I have to look at with Brian Johnson is I want him to be able to run the ball effectively, to get the ball out of Jalen Hurts' hands so he's not running the ball 14, 15 times himself. I don't want that. That does not create a long career for a quarterback. Brian Johnson's the biggest concern for me on the new coordinator.
Didn't he really stay away from contact for the most part, except for that stupid run up the middle? I didn't get Carson Wentz feelings when watching Jalen Hurts, meaning running into the middle of a pile, diving head first, stuff like that.
Godfrey, he got hurt versus the Chicago Bears in almost a meaningless game.
Yes, but that was a horrible play call by the offense. I don't know why they were doing that. And I think it was a freak injury. Like it didn't seem like a play where he got whacked. You know what I mean? Where he was getting hit hard. I mean, he was just going up the middle and he got crunched. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how much you could change his identity. I
just don't want to see that many QB powers. Cool. What were you about to say?
So I was going to say, if I may, I think the problem is Nick Sirianni is the one that loves Jalen Hurts throwing the ball 40 times, running the ball another 10 times a game. That seemed to be, if you look earlier in his first year, before we learned that Steichen took over as the actual play caller, we were seeing a lot of Jalen Hurts overthrowing the ball too much, a lot of him running more than he should have. Once Steichen took over, we kind of saw that kind of pan out to be running the ball more and then using the pass game when it's necessary, but not always relying on the pass game or Jalen Hurts to make a play. So hopefully, if Brian Johnson was put into this role, these kind of questions were kind of taken care of beforehand. Like, hey, where do you see the offense going? Right. So hopefully, and I mean, we don't know this until the season starts, and you are right to say he better not do that. But hopefully, Sirianni had the common sense to say, okay, we're going to make sure that whoever we bring in, whether it's Brian Johnson, whether it's a guy from the outside, whether it's somebody else, you have got to lean on these 4 guys in that running back room. If you're not going to lean on the guys that are going to run the ball, you cannot be our OC. Whether you're calling the plays, whether I'm helping you call the plays, if you're not going to run first and use this defense and protect our franchise quarterback, then you cannot be the OC. You can stay his quarterback coach. So you are right, but hopefully Nick Sirianni, I'm giving some credit. I was a Sirianni doubter in the beginning. I was going to say something else, but I'm just going to say doubter in the beginning. But he's proven me wrong. So I give him props for that. But hopefully he had the ability to say, okay, if you're going to be this guy, you better be ready to say, this is our identity. We're going to use this. I don't want to see Jalen Hurts running a lot, and I don't want to see him running up the middle unless it's a huge hole and he can get down.
The Philadelphia Eagles have, in my personal opinion, the best trenches in all football. The offensive and defensive line.
Get no argument for me.
It's how you win football games. You have to use and abuse. When you go through that Eagles offensive line, and we're going to get right into training camp battles in a minute, but you have starting left tackle Jordan Mailata, ranked 5th among left tackles in football last year. Landon Dickerson, ranked number 2nd in the NFC in offensive guards. Jason Kelsey was the number 1 center in the league. Lane Johnson was the number 1 right tackle in the league. And then you have that right guard position. That right guard position that a lot of people assumed that Cam Jurgens would fit and step right into that position. That's not what the depth chart says. That's not what the depth chart says. The depth chart currently lists Tyler Steen out of Alabama to be their starting right guard. Do you make anything of this? Do you think this is Tyler Steen's job to lose? Or do you think this is just preseason, training camp, earn your spot, second-year guy that didn't play a lot last year?
I think it's preseason training camp. Depth charts get moved around all the time. I mean, in preseason, and so you could probably go find a depth chart right now and pick a random team and be like, that doesn't make any sense. I don't know, man. I have to see more. I mean, the rumor that's the big talk this offseason is it Jurgens or Steen? I mean, I don't know. I have to see more. I really don't know. And it's just like, I don't know, the average fan, are they really looking at guard play? I know you are, Gene. I know, I will, but like, are they really looking at guard play? Like, it's like, where do you get to see that right now? And, not really till preseason. I guess if they have some flight nights and things of that nature, but, correct me if I'm wrong here. Are all the practices now with training camp closed to the media, or is that just today?
Not all of them. Most of them are. They have open just like we went to last year. They have open practices, but they just don't have as many.
Yeah.
Is that a norm in the NFL now, or is that a leftover from the Chip Kelly era?
No, it's a norm in the NFL now. They don't have many and if you look at around the league, like even the Jets, they didn't want to be on Hard Knocks because they don't want as much I guess invasiveness from the NFL or from anybody else watching practice.
Right.
Well, we can sorry, Jets. You've been on there like 9 times. Chill.
Yeah. We're not sad at all.
I want the Eagles to be on Hard Knocks, but it's never happened.
Oh, the Eagles don't want to be on Hard Knocks. Jalen Hurts turned down the quarterback.
I would love it as a fan. It would be great. I would love it. You'd be there with a big ball of popcorn like T.O. You know it. You'd be like, come on. Like, wouldn't that be entertaining as hell?
I would enjoy it, Godfrey.
I would watch it. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I would definitely watch it. I'd catch every episode.
It'd be like crack. Because they're going to tell you, Hard Knocks is kind of running its course, in my opinion. And, they need some different teams. You need some, some of them feel like repeats,
That's the problem.
Yep. So, I mean, the Jets, the only reason I'm excited is because Aaron Rodgers is there, and I want to see what kind of controversy that brings.
It'll be interesting. But let's talk about a couple training camp battles, right? So we already talked about Tyler Steen and Cam Jurgens. Interesting on the depth chart. Now, we talk about this all the time. The first depth chart really means a lot to me because it tells you what the Philadelphia Eagles are looking at going into the season. Slot receiver, number 3 wide receiver, Zacchaeus Olamide from Atlanta Falcons, who was not on the team last year, is listed as the starting slot receiver over Quez Watkins. What are your thoughts there? That's very interesting.
So, a couple of things. So, on Steen, if you notice, Jurgens isn't even listed as the backup at the guard position, right? He's listed as the backup center. But I think the reason that Steen is in that position right now is because, say, Kelsey gets hurt. Jurgens is there learning. He's able to take over. We don't have to do any changes. And I think Steen showed enough, he must have, in OTAs for them to say, okay, we'll at least put him as a starter on the first depth chart. But with slot wide receiver, I mean, I've been saying all along, Quez Watkins drops too many balls and makes bad decisions. So if another guy comes in here that's a little bit more of a veteran, that has a little bit of speed, can do some of the things Quez can do, maybe not some of them as good, but is more complete, Quez is going to sit on that bench. So Quez is in a battle.
I got a dark horse.
He's starting out there. So, we'll see how it works out. But I think Zacchaeus, it's his to lose.
You said you had a dark horse? What do you mean you have a dark horse?
In the receiver room. I don't know if he's going to play slot, but they did re-sign Deion Kane.
Deion Kane is on the depth chart. He's listed as the number 9 receiver right now.
Okay. Yeah. I hear you. But he's been playing ball all year, and he balled out.
He'll move up.
I watch USFL. He balled out.
I think he's better than anybody. I think he's better than Joseph Nagata, Devin Allen, Greg Ward, and Britton Covey for sure. So I think there's a few guys.
Definitely better than Quez Watkins. I'll bet my life on him over Quez Watkins as a receiver any day. I bet my life. I'll take Deion Kane. I'll bet my life on it.
I'm really interested to see what they end up doing with Devin Allen. I really am. They keep him on the team. They keep re-signing him. They keep making sure he stays on the roster. If you're not familiar with who Devin Allen is the Olympic hurdler and sprinter. Guy's definitely the fastest guy in the league. He's a wide receiver out of Oregon. He was waived, picked up, practice squad, free agent, signed again. He's listed on a non-football injury because he's going to be in the Olympics. He's got Olympic trials. I'm really interested in why they consistently keep him around if they're not going to make him part of the game plan. They are looking for that burner. That's why they have Quez Watkins. That's why they have Devin Allen. They are looking for that burner in that slot to be able to take the top off of defense. So do you think Devin Allen gets any consideration?
I don't think he should.
Okay. It's interesting.
I don't think he's done any, I haven't seen anything that Devin Allen has done catching the football, running routes to make me say, oh, this guy should be here. I think he's brought in where he should be, in my opinion, is PR and KR. He should be kick returns and punt returns. Let's see how you do back there. Let's see how you use that speed back there. That's where I think he would make a difference for us at. Then maybe a year or two down the road when he actually gets to be with the team, go through training camp, go through all those things, maybe we can work on those hands. But I do see hands as a problem or maybe a concern as to why he's not played a lot.
Listen, I'm going to say it again. I know it's going to get boring. Deion Kane was the USFL MVP. He dominated. He didn't just have an okay game. And he runs a 4.43 from his combine. He's 6'2". He can catch the ball. He's been playing ball for a year straight, and he's still in camp. He's my dark horse in the camp to make some waves at the receiver position. And I
love it. And everyone loved him in camp last year. Everyone loved him in preseason last year. I agree with you, man. I think Deion Kane can definitely make some waves. I don't think he is the answer. I really don't.
He's hungry though, man. I've watched this kid play. I know it sounds crazy. I don't watch a lot of college football, which I'm working on, but I watch a lot of pro football, and I watched every USFL game, every XFL game. Okay. And there's some guys that look better. There's some guys that stood out. And on that level of play, you have to dominate to say I could play on the next level. Like, not just have a nice game in the USFL. You have to dominate. And he dominated. He had 3 touchdowns in the championship game. He dominated. All right. So I'm just saying, if I'm looking at a guy, I like the kid from Atlanta. I don't want to butcher his name, former receiver from there. I like him as well. I think he brings something to the table. But I do think that's a hole in the Eagles offense is maybe these two guys can add something there, because Quez Watkins ain't it. I'm sorry. You want to do an end around with him, you want to send him deep, fine. But he's not it, man. I'm tired of seeing him getting the ball ripped from him. Like, you're not sending this dude up for a rebound and a pickup basketball game, that's for sure. So I'm sorry, man. Like, I'm over Quez Watkins being a guy that they go to in key spots. It can't happen anymore. It can't. I'm sorry.
I agree with you. One more offensive question I wanted to ask you guys before we move to the defensive side of the ball, and then we'll get into our first look at the schedule. DeAndre Swift listed as the number 1 running back on the depth chart. Does that surprise you? Is that interesting to you? Kenneth Gainwell listed as 2, which I assumed that he would be 2. Rashad Penny listed as 3. Boston Scott 4. And then Trey Sermon and Kennedy Brooks listed on the taxi squad.
I mean, I don't think it's surprising. I think Swift has the most upside. But hold on, I just saw breaking news come in. Rashad Penny injured walking to the bathroom at training camp. Actually, he's out for the next 6 weeks. So he slipped on fish grease and hot dookie. So I'm just saying this. It doesn't surprise me, but I don't know if there's a lot of relevance to it. I know they like Gainwell because the coach wears a Kenny Gainwell T-shirt, cheesy. But anyway, DeAndre has a lot of upside. But I think as Eagle fans, we need to temper expectations just a little bit with DeAndre Swift. And I don't have nothing against the kid. I know he's got a hometown background. Gobs of talent. Some people say he wasn't used right in Detroit. Some people say he was never healthy. Let's see if the motivation is to perform in his hometown and get himself a nice next contract. Because here's the deal. That's the problem I had with Miles Sanders. This kid has better hands out of the backfield than Miles Sanders had by light years. Not even close. Miles Sanders was the hands of stone out of the backfield. And so it's an upgrade there. But he has an opportunity ahead of him to take advantage of. Is he going to take it by the teeth? Let's see. I mean, I think
that be right, though, Godfrey, right? But can't both be right about DeAndre Swift? Can he not be used properly and he couldn't stay on the field? Because I think it's a little bit of both.
It can be. Yeah, for sure in that organization. Absolutely. I mean, watching Hard Knocks last year, it seemed like Deuce was trying to get him into a certain frame of mind as a running back to when I would watch him interact with Deuce was almost trying to teach him the killer instinct, I felt.
100%. I agree with you. I could not agree with you more.
And I don't know if that went over. I don't know if it did, and they just didn't give him a chance to show it. I really don't know. I feel like that's going to have to be litigated within the Eagles. But I like Rashard Penny as a change of pace back because he doesn't have the durability to be a number 1 back or carry full workload. I definitely see him around the goal line. I definitely see Kenneth Gainwell being able to spell both of them and give them relief. And I definitely see them splitting the carries 30. I think it's almost going to be 33% each. As far as passing out of the backfield, I think it's going to be mostly DeAndre Swift because I think that's where he's going to be dangerous. Most dangerous is in open space with the ball. And I'm excited about it.
Do you know what I love about them, though, Godfrey? I love that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to keep 4 running backs on their roster this year, and they all bring a little bit of difference.
I forgot about Scott.
Cool. Let me ask you a question real quick. Do you see when you look at the versatility in the Eagles' backfield, when you see Swift who can catch the ball out of the backfield, Gainwell who can catch the ball out of the backfield, Scott who can catch the ball out of the backfield, and Penny who can hit you hard between the tackles, not the best receiving back, but he's the guy you need to get that 1 or 2 yards up the middle sometimes. That's a very versatile backfield. Do you agree?
I agree. And also, to
best we had in years.
To Godfrey's point, I think you are going to have at least one of those guys get at least knocked up and miss a few games. So you have enough depth where you can kind of absorb that, just give everybody else, a couple more carries to ride through a couple of games. Where I look at it like DeAndre Swift, is he going to stay healthy the whole season? I don't think he's done that yet. So if we have an expectation for somebody to come in and be healthy the whole season, it's never done that. That's a little ridiculous on our part.
Did he stay healthy all year last year, though? Because I know they gave
No. Missed 5 games last year.
Okay. Yeah. And they gave a lot of goal line touches to Jamal Williams.
Every goal line touch went to Jamal Williams.
I mean, goal line touches on our team should be to the other 3 guys over Swift. I'm sorry.
Penny is my goal line guy, and then Scott after him.
Yeah, I think Scott.
I like Scott. This Joker's he's like a small Hulk. So I like him, around the goal line.
I like him against the Giants.
I also like Gainwell. We all love him against the Giants. I like Gainwell too, though, because he's shifty and he moves kind of like what we wanted LaShawn McCoy to do back when we had him. He just he's fast, but he'll hit the hole and go. Either he gets it or he doesn't, but he just hits the hole and makes a decision. That was something that, McCoy didn't do all that well. That's something that our last back didn't do all that well as well. We've had guys that kind of have had some of that speed, but they've kind of been hesitant to just hit the hole and go.
I'm sorry. Listen, I got to stop you. I hear you about Shady, but one of the smoothest runs ever was against the Giants where he juked the underpants off of OCU Miura for that win.
Yes.
On a Sunday Night Football. And he missed them by like that much, and he juked the underpants off him. He danced sometimes, man. But I'm gonna tell you, like, Shady had some moments there where like I love them, like just OCU Miura's. I hate the Giants, so when he did that and it was for the win, I was like, yes. So
yeah, cool. I'm listening.
You remind me of that spot. I'm sorry, man.
No, you're good. You're good. So yeah, just to me, having all four. So you can kind of game plan. And this goes back to the play caller better be ready for that game plan. If you get a game where it's more physical, where they're hitting hard, you got to kind of bang a little bit more, slide a little bit more penny in there. If you have a game where you need more versatile back, we got that guy as well, right? We've got a little bit of everything that you would need. Scott could be that versatile guy. Gainwell, if you need a home run hitter, you see that, running back goes are working. He's a guy you could throw in, sneak a couple of those in. Swift is your starting guy as long as he can stay healthy. And hey, maybe being in a stable like this, not running as much, a lot like you did for Christian McCaffrey last year, can actually keep him healthy.
Listen, we got to move to the defense. We only have a 50-minute show, but I agree with everything that you just said. We're going to get on the schedule. We'll look at that shortly, but there's two things on the defense that stand out to me. Number one, Jordan Davis is sitting behind on the depth chart behind Jalen Carter, who's a rookie, and Fletcher Cox. Does that surprise you? What does that make you like? Let me ask you a question. What's your first reaction to seeing a rookie walk in as a starter on the depth chart above your first round draft pick last year?
Shows me that he was ready to play. Shows me that he came in and showed them something where they said, okay, this is the guy that we need to be the starter. The other guys are going to get reps. Milton Williams is in there as well in the rotation. But as a starter, this guy brings some explosiveness. He brings an understanding above being a rookie of what we want to do. And he's been in there. The same thing Jalen Hurts did a lot. He's been in that film room, looking at things, learning things, developing it, digging in that playbook, getting ready to go out there and show the team what he has. That's what it tells me.
Godfrey?
I'm sorry. I was reading about DeAndre Thought. I was just getting Swift.
No, Jalen Carter is listed as the starter over Jordan Davis. Fletcher Cox is also listed as a starter. Last year's first-round draft pick seems to be a backup to a rookie that just walked in. Now, granted, both of them are first-round picks, and I understand the Eagles play a ton of rotation football, but what's your thoughts on that, Jordan Davis sitting behind?
Who is closer to Javon Hargrave? Jalen Carter?
Jalen Carter, 100%.
Yeah.
There's your answer to me. He's got to replace. He's replaced for Javon Hargrave. You got to replace that guy, right? I mean, I'm not taking nothing away from Jordan Davis. I think he's got some growing to do. I don't think anybody should be cutting bait on him in the first year. There's a lot of potential there. I think playing against next to his old teammate at points will. Fletcher Cox.
His picture walking into training camp yesterday?
Yeah, he is cut. I saw him in the summer.
Jordan Davis?
Jordan Davis doesn't look like Big Baby no more.
Last year.
He's not Big Baby Davis.
Like Big Baby.
No,
he's not.
And he took the offseason and got shredded.
Yeah, the only thing that I worry about with Jalen Carter is I like a guy to have confidence, but I don't want him to be overconfident. And his comments about the game, I think I understand what he's saying, but like, let me tell you something. The double teams you're going to see in the pros is going to be light years more than the double teams you saw in college, my friend.
Well, I disagree with you. I need a mean look. Let me ask you a question real quick. Did y'all see New Heights with Jason Kelce and Travis Kelce when we were talking about Aaron Donald? Did either one of y'all guys see that?
No.
I saw part of it.
Chris Long asked Jason Kelce if Aaron Donald ever got mad when he played. He's like, every time. He's like, he yelled at me for sliding. He was angry every game, right? I love mean, angry, confident defensive linemen. I want that. That's what I want in my
if that translates to the field when he steps through the portal, I'm all about that. But, he's talking off the field right now. I want to see if he carries that onto the field. It's a lot different when you get punched in your mouth, like Mike Tyson likes to say. I want to see how he reacts to that. You know, he's still a rookie, and I got high hopes for him. I'm thrilled the Eagles stole him because the Bears had no balls, and they were like, "Yo, we're scared. We'll let the Eagles get him." Chicago fans were losing their minds over it. Thank you, Chicago, for having pigeon balls on that. And I like his swagger, right? I'm just saying, man. I want to see that because Jordan Davis last year, man, he's a specimen, and I think as talented as he was, he needed a first year adjustment, and he was hurt, and a first year adjustment to the NFL. And I think I'm expecting him to leap maybe Jalen Carter because he's in his first year. Actually, I think Jordan Davis might surprise people because
the way he looks, he better surprise people, man. He looks different. I'll just tell you something right now. Look at the side by side comps.
He better because you know what? In the trenches, they're gonna be talking shit to him. They're gonna be, "Oh man, you're big." Doesn't mean nothing, Jack. They're going to be talking crap to him if he doesn't. First show, and
I already have to admit that I was wrong. Cool McCain was dead right in our pre-show. This is way more than 55 minutes of content. I understand that. So we're going to call a little bit of an audible. We're going to have the schedule, but we're not going to go wins and losses this week. Kyle Edwards asked 2 questions. We'll answer those as we go through the schedule. And next week, we'll give the full wins and losses. But let's get back to the depth chart. The Philadelphia Eagles also chose to not bring in any other linebackers to compete with Nakobe Dean at middle linebacker. Nicholas Morrow will be their will linebacker, weak side linebacker. Nakobe Dean will be their middle linebacker. And as usual, Hassan Reddick will be the outside linebacker that's rushing the passer. Confidence in Nakobe Dean? What's your level of confidence in Nakobe Dean starting this year? On scale 1 to 10.
He's I think I'll give it a 7.5.
Cool.
I'll give it about an 8 to 8.5 because he's got the green dot. They've given him the green dot. That means a lot.
Yeah, no, 100%. They're going to make him the full signal caller. And if there's one thing about Nakobe Dean that everyone knows that watched him in college, that watched him play at Georgia, is his intelligence is the most effective trait. I give it a 10. And I understand that's crazy. I know I'm a little nuts for this. I know I'm a big Nakobe Dean fanboy, but I've been a fan of this guy for 3.5 years since Georgia, watching this guy cross the middle, yelling at Quay Walker, who was a first-round draft pick last year. Jalen Carter's the first name that came out of his mouth is I get to play with big bro Nakobe Dean, understanding that he was the leader of that Georgia defense. He was the leader of the best defense that we watched in college football the last 20 years. His comparison to Bobby Wagner is not something I take lightly. I think he is the next Bobby Wagner. I've been very adamant about this. And last year, when a lot of people on the defensive staff were clamoring for Nakobe Dean to get work over TJ Edwards come Super Bowl and the playoffs, Jonathan Gannon wasn't having any of that because he didn't plan on being here next year.
Jonathan Gannon is trash. That's why. Sorry.
Fact. I get it.
Listen, Jonathan Gannon is a straight tool. He's not a tool. He's the whole damn shed. The way he handled himself leaving the Eagles. I know that some people are excited about Desai. All right. But I don't care. If you're a football guy, I would love to have had Vic Fangio as a defensive coordinator.
Of course.
Okay. And he cost us that. And Vic Fangio said it. So I hope Jonathan Gannon slips in the shower. That's all I got to say. But
okay, well, let's take it a step further then. Let's look at the secondary, Godfrey. Let's look at the secondary. Cool. I find this very interesting and very, very interesting. Reed Blankenship, it looks like he's been given the starting free safety position. They drafted Sidney Brown in the 3rd round. He's listed as the backup strong safety behind Terrell Edmonds. And they also have Keely Ringo listed as their number 3 or number 4 cornerback with Greedy Williams. I find all that very interesting because most times the Philadelphia Eagles are on the side of their rookies. We're going to get them playing time. We're going to get them in, but not with Jalen Carter, right? All the rookies are listed as backups on the depth chart. but there's 2 rookies that are listed as starters, and one of them is Jalen Carter, and the other one is Tyler Steen. I find that very interesting that Kelee Ringo is already ahead of Josh Jobe, is already ahead of a lot of those guys that have been there last year. The Philadelphia Eagles secondary, they added Greedy Williams. Josh Jobe's still there. And they got, and I'll tell you right now, I got to look out to make the roster. And I'm telling you right now, I guarantee he makes the roster. And if he doesn't make the roster, I guarantee he's on the practice squad. Listed as the 9th overall corner, you look out for Eli Ricks. Eli Ricks is the best undrafted signing the Philadelphia Eagles had, and it by far. Eli Ricks could be an elite corner in this league. Watch him at LSU before he transferred to Bama. He was incredible.
You know who I think might be a disappointment in the secondary? And this is early on. But Ringo took a long time to get into camp, did he not? There was a contract situation.
He was our last signing, and the reason he was our last signing before you get into that was because he was first-round talent that fell all the way to the 4th round, so it hurt for him to be able to sign that 4th-round tender. I understand Kelee Ringo was listed as the 19th overall pick on the mock draft right before the game versus versus Ohio State, when Marvin Harrison Jr., who will be the number 1 wide receiver next year, 100%, tore him up. And he did. He tore him up. Marvin Harrison Jr. had a field day on Kelee Ringo in that Georgia game, 100%. But he was listed as the 19th overall pick, 19th overall prospect, and fell all the way to the 4th round because a guy that's going to be the number 1 wide receiver next year tore him up.
So I'm going to give you a highlight for today's training camp. I'm kind of setting this up right here. I look for what's the fight in a person if they feel like they're wrong.
Okay.
So this is a quick highlight. Kane victimized Ringo on a red zone touchdown pass by Ian Book. So, I mean, they were saying there was sloppiness in camp today. Ringo's a rookie. I wasn't pointing to him. The reason why I was bringing it up is not so much him feeling that way or money-wise. Is getting into camp is important, man. You know what I mean? When you're a rookie, and it could hurt you. So I don't know. My USFL guy, right by him.
Iron sharpens iron, and the Philadelphia Eagles, which makes me very happy to look at their overall landscape, is they have iron sharpening iron in a lot of places. They have the best offensive line going against the best defensive line. They have the best player out of USFL going against an underrated cornerback that got drafted in the 4th round. Iron sharpens iron.
So here's another one. On a 3rd and goal from the 8-yard line, a 4-point play, according to Sirianni, between the first teams. First-round rookie Jalen Carter forced quick early pressure on Hurts while lined up against Landon Dickerson, killing the play. That's a highlight from today's camp. So I've been going over some highlights.
I also saw one earlier where Nolan Smith decimated the 2nd team, and it would have been an interception that Mariota would have thrown if they were in a live game. Based on his disruptiveness, he was basically out there looking like baby Hassan Reddick.
It is weird.
He's 4.39, bro. He's so fast. He could have went number 10 overall. We got him at 29. I can't wait to see what that kid does this year.
It's crazy. It's weird saying Mariota in the Eagles' breath after the Chip Kelly era, and people are talking about trading the whole house for him. I'm just like, he's on the team now. It's just wild how it works. If I said to you when Chip Kelly was here, he will be fired, the Eagles will win a Super Bowl, and Mariota will end up being our franchise quarterback's backup, you'd be like, you're smoking the biggest amount of crack ever. It's just wild how football works, man.
All right, well, let's give everybody a first look at the Philadelphia Eagles schedule. I want to share that on the screen real quick, and we'll give a first look. And all I want you to do, we only have 9 minutes left. I want you to tell me what part of the schedule, what game you're most looking forward to, and what can be the biggest trap game for the Philadelphia Eagles this year. I'm going to make this a full screen for y'all so you can see the whole thing. And you should have it up right now. This is the Philadelphia Eagles schedule. Let me ask you guys a question. We'll start with Cool. Cool, what game are you most looking forward to? And what game do you think is a game that the Philadelphia Eagles are supposed to win that is the biggest trap?
So there's 2 games I have to look forward to. I know this is not the exact question, but Kansas City Super Bowl rematch in Kansas City, which
Monday Night Football.
Yeah, which I plan on wanting to see. And then also the 40 Winers rematch, because I am so sick of this crying and whining all off season. right? People say, oh, the Eagles complain about the field. The 49ers complain about everything. Deebo Samuels will not shut up. He started the day after the game, and he's still going along with it. So I want to see those two games. I'm very excited to what we are going to do when we get a chance to match up against them. In a trap game, December 31st. The Arizona Cardinals are trash, but we may need that game to be the number 1 seed, so that could be a trap game for us.
I don't think that's a trap game. I got a very early trap game that I don't think a lot of people are thinking about right now. But Godfrey, give me yours.
My trap game? Yeah, man. Schedule predictions are so tough, but I'm just looking at Chiefs Bills back to back. You know what I mean? 6 day turnaround, 1 day short. It's at home, so that's going to give you a little bit of advantage. I mean, I think the Eagles beat the Chiefs, and can you not have a letdown after that win and beat the Bills? I don't know. I think that could be a trap game for sure. I know they're going to beat the brakes off the 49ers regardless of what happens, because it's just going to happen.
The top 3 teams in Super Bowl odds that aren't the Philadelphia Eagles are Kansas City, Buffalo, and San Fran. And we play them in 3 straight weeks. I want you to understand that. Now, the game I'm most looking forward to this season is the San Francisco 40 Whiners. There's 40 of them. They're all whiners. I can't stand the 49ers. I've never hated a team more after one playoff game than the San Francisco 49ers. I cannot wait till that team comes back to Philadelphia. I hope to God the 95-7 crew from San Fran decides to make the trip back to Philadelphia and run their mouths like they did last time. And the Philadelphia Eagles send them home packing December 3rd. That's the game I'm looking forward to.
That in Philly?
It is in Philly.
I plan on being at that game too, by the way.
I'll go with you for that one.
Okay. So, here's the thing
Let me finish. I got to get my trap game.
Oh, I thought that was your trap game.
No. San Francisco's the game I'm looking forward to the most. I will make a prediction now, and Eagles fans, you might hate me for this one. I apologize. The Philadelphia Eagles will lose one of their first 3 games on the road. So it'll be New England or Tampa Bay. One of those games will be a loss. If they start off 2-0, they're going to lose to Tampa Bay on Monday Night Football. And people are going to what happened? If they start, and do not be surprised if Hoodie has that team ready to beat us week 1 and we go 0-1. Don't be surprised of it. I'm telling you right now, it's an ugly game for Philadelphia to play on the road early in the season for Bill Belichick preparing his team for you don't know what you're looking at. New offense coordinator. There's not much tape. Week 1 is the ultimate. It's the ultimate trap game, right? You don't know what you're looking at. Spread tells you everything you need to know. Eagles open up 3.5-point favorites. If you think the Eagles are 3.5 points better than New England, they're 10 points better than New England. They should be 9-point favorites in that game. It's already been bet up to 5 points. Be careful. Week 1 at New England, the Eagles will not start 3-0.
Kyle Edwards says, my team will be ready. Are they going to break out a Statue of Liberty play? Because I have not been impressed by the coaching at all by New England. I think the game has passed them by at this point. I really do. Last year, the way that team performed down the stretch and the mental mistakes they made are not indicative of a Bill Belichick finely tuned team. Nobody can argue that at all. They went into the season with who as the offensive coordinator? Just saying. I ain't afraid of that team. Trash.
So there is one other game that I would say can be a trap. I know we're pressed up against the time now.
You're good.
Washington, then you got LA, then you got the Jets. The overlooking LA could be dangerous. You did say we'll lose one of the first 3. I think the Rams is set up to be a very dangerous one because you got the divisional game. Then you're looking forward to the Jets now because of the whole Aaron Rodgers situation. They're a much better team. So you could kind of overlook them a little bit.
You're 100% right. That's definitely one of those ones you could look at. I'm going to stop the screen share. We are going to go over the wins and losses next week. It is 6:51. I really, really fun fire having a conversation with Cool and Godfrey talking Eagles. This is going to be fun to do every week going into the NFL season, prepping Philadelphia Eagles football, the best team in the NFL. I won't go over Kyle, I seen your questions. I love your questions, but we will go over them after we do the schedule next week. So I'm going to ask you all to tune in next week to get our schedule predictions on who is going to win and lose and which games and what we have the Eagles finishing at. But before we finish out, we have 3 minutes left. I just want to give one last thank you for Cool McCain for joining the show. I can't wait. I look forward to an Eagles football season, and it is so good to be sitting in next to the THEE GODFREY, the Godfrey, one of my favorite guys to talk sports with, Eagles fan, Phillies fan, and just all comedian. Guy should be doing stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
And to have the show the fully on the Sports Empire Network is awesome. If you guys have not caught up on
I didn't mean to do that, by the way. I was trying to hit the applause. They're literally right on top of each other. But
if you guys have not tuned in to Sports Empire Network, giving us a like, giving us a share, putting us on Facebook, YouTube, anywhere you can do it, we appreciate it. But before we wrap up, Godfrey, tell them where we can find you.
you can find me at THEEGODFREY. Don't even go to Twitter. It's X. It's whatever the fuck it is. Instagram, TikTok, Twitter's. I'm on Threads. Meet me over there. So that's where you can find me. I'll be doing pregame and pigskin every Thursday right after the Birds Deep show. So Sports Empire Network will be on here talking all things Eagles and all things football every Thursday.
Cool McCain, the man, the myth, the legend. Tell them where you can find you. I know you're doing a lot of Eagles work. I know you're doing some NBA work. Listen, although he's an Eagles fan, he is the enemy in the NBA. He's a Nuggets fan. He is a champion. But cool. Tell the people where they can find you, brother.
So first, I just want to quickly throw it on my shoulder while I talk. But you can find me on YouTube, Eagles League Podcast, Wednesday, 8:30 p.m. EST. Friday nights. Right now, you can find me 7:30 p.m. EST on that Real Play Calls Sports Talk Show. Much more. Of course, I almost forgot. We got the Line in the Sand Tuesday nights, 9:30 p.m. We talking pro wrestling.
Godfrey, you have to check that show out, man. If you haven't seen Line in the Sand yet, I finally got back into wrestling. I was out of wrestling forever. I got back into wrestling. The Bloodline story was too good. I got back into it, and now I can't turn it off. I'm enjoying it every week. But you got to check out that Line in the Sand show Tuesday night. Pre-game and pigskin is just in 5 minutes. I'm Wire to Wire Gene. That is Cool McCain. This is THEEGODFREY, the Godfrey, and we are signing out.